Welcome Lund loyalists to John Lund Unleashed. Those watching on YouTube, on the John Lund Unleashed and Bay Area Sports Collective channels. Viewers on X, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook, and Lundos listening to the podcast on Apple and Spotify. John Lund Unleashed, brought to you by 𝐬𝐝𝐿 Sports Medicine. Got pain? Check out our revolutionary stem cell treatments. And guys, if low T is bringing you down, 𝐬𝐝𝐿 Sports Medicine can put you back in the game. Now all juiced up and ready to go, here's Johnny.
Good morning, and hopefully you make it through today quite well. It is a Monday, episode 204, and you can see right there, pads are popping today, so I'll be down at 49ers camp. So we've got that early 8 o'clock start. Hopefully I gave you enough heads up. I had it up last night, so hopefully we got you early today. We'll do a quick, about 40 minutes because I got to get on the road at about 8:45. So I can get down to Santa Clara from the East Bay, but pads are popping. That is the big story, but there's a ton from Sunday, including Ricky Pearsall back on the field. Good morning. There I am. Ricky Pearsall back on the field. Brock's baby, by the way. We got to get into that. That's a good reason for missing one day of camp is everybody's what's going on with Brock. That's about as good as a reason as you could possibly have. I'm sorry. We just had a
Bay Area
there.
Sports Collective channel.
Take that off.
Viewers on X, Instagram.
Thank you very much for doing that. I appreciate that. But Brock's baby, that is a good news for missing a day of practice where everybody thought maybe something weird was going on, but it's not. As far as injuries, good news and bad news. People got on me about Demo when I said, look, you got these 40 days. You're a team leader. You can't be getting arrested. And people are like, hey, cops are overzealous, this, that, and the other. Look, you just can't have it happen. And I'll stand by it. And I took the grief on all areas of social media. And Demo did what leaders do. What young players, especially in that secondary, look up to, and that's what it is. There's a bunch of young players in that secondary. You can't go out in that 40-day period where coaches get nervous and get arrested. I don't care what the circumstances are, and he admitted to it. So that's maturity. That's what leaders do, and good job by Demo Lenore doing that yesterday. I'll play that for you. Eli Apple, I think it's a camp body. Some other people are saying other things because Ronaldo Green is down. We shall see. As far as the Giants, they get swept. I'm getting sick of talking about them, to be completely honest with you, because I don't work for the flagship of the Giants anymore. I don't really have to talk about them. So we'll get into it because I don't want to sit here and bitch and moan all the time. But Ramos's baseball IQ is getting old, the lack thereof. Devers struggled at first base. By the way, Carson 𝐬𝐿ZHIN is going to go tonight, so that is some good news. Deadline 3 days away. I don't know how deep I would go into the deadline as we'll look at the standings. The Speedway Series is kind of a cool thing. Is this really Luca on the cover of Men's Health magazine? Random things will happen throughout the show. They've got to happen quickly today. And I do have a good, sweet, clean, family-friendly caboose pistol. I cannot believe this restaurant did this, so you got to stay for the entire show today. Good morning. Please make sure, by the way, good morning, and welcome to John Lund Unleashed on YouTube or however you're watching. Maybe you're watching on X this morning at John Lund Radio. I'm on X all the time, so you can hit me up with questions, comments, and thoughts there. That big B in the corner is Bay Area Sports Collective, so that is me and a bunch of XKNBRs, which is the Bay Area's big sports station. If you are not from the area, Tom Tolbert, you may know Tom, you probably do. Tom Tolbert is on there, and by the way, Tom's going to be on this afternoon. He's going to have Susan Slusser on at about 12:45. She covers the Giants and has for years. Well, she's covered the A's for years. She's covered baseball in the Bay Area for years, covered the Giants for a few years. And she's going to join Tommy at 12:45. Also, Polymax Particles today, right after I'm done at about 11 o'clock. Well, you'll have a couple hours today because I'm going to pop out early to go to Niners camp. But Polymax Particles will jump in at about 11 o'clock with Creative Tony. And, of course, also you have Rod Brooks, former KNBR, and you also have Jeremy Affeldt, former Giants pitcher, and the great Amy G. That makes up the Bay Area Sports Collective. Maybe you're watching on LinkedIn today or Facebook. Thank you for tuning in. Please consider coming over to John Lund Unleashed and hanging out in our chat room. We got a bunch of great people over here. So make sure you join. But if anything else, make sure you come over. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit those alerts because tonight at 6 o'clock or somewhere thereof, I'll make sure that I do a full recap of the day in pads. Like I said, I'll have video for you and interviews and all those kind of things. So first day in pads, I'm specifically excited to see the first-round pick, Mykel Williams versus Trent Williams. Trent talked him up last week when I was down there. So Mykel Williams v. Trent Williams, that is going to be really, really cool to see those matchups among the offensive and defensive lines and others as well. But first day with pads popping. So you want to come back at 6 o'clock tonight to make sure. So get those alerts on so you have that. And please, please, please hit us with the like before you get out of here on YouTube as well on John Lund Unleashed, because that helps the algorithm grow the show. Thank you very much. All right. Fillmore was the first in here today. I saw you a while ago. Good morning. Joy is here. Oil is here. Papa J. Again, this is John Lund Unleashed in the chat room. James is here. Enrique, good morning to you, my friend. Christopher, our good friend, is here. Mike, good to see you, my friend. Daniel from the 916 is here. Pine, what's going on, my friend? Please like and subscribe, like Papa J says. Feeling blue. Don't be feeling blue. Grand Rapids, Michigan. Awesome, man. I used to live in Commerce Township when I worked for WXYT in Detroit, so that's not too far. It's a bit, but it's not too far. Please welcome, and that's a cool avatar. Please welcome Feeling Blue, everybody, from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Very cool. Thank you, man, for tuning in this morning. Francis Berry is here. Let's see, who else do we got here in the room? And if I have not said good morning to you, I will at some point. So good morning, everybody. I got a ton of great stuff for you from Niners, a little bit of Giants, and a great, sweet, clean, family-friendly caboose pistol. So let's get to it. All right. Beautiful, beautiful baby. Has anybody had a better year than Brock Purdy? That is him and his wife, Jenna. Their baby girl's name is Millie Jolene Purdy. Millie Jolene Purdy. Do you think they're from Nashville? Well, they live in Nashville, though he's from Arizona, but they live in Nashville. How cool is that going to be? She's going to grow up in Nashville, and her name's going to be Millie Jolene. I'd play the Dolly Parton or Jack White version of Jolene, but YouTube will get pissed off at me, so you're just going to have to deal with my singing. Jolene. Ooh, that was terrible. I shouldn't try to hit that. I know. But anyway, Millie Jolene, and I apologize if your ears are bleeding right now. Millie Jolene Purdy. That is Brock Purdy's new daughter. And really, Jenna did all the work. But that's why he missed practice the other day, and I guess we'll give him a day off, and he only took one. It was like, dude, you can take a couple probably. Even Kyle would say, hey, dude, you could probably take a couple. But anyway, there is the happy couple there. There is Millie Jolene, and congratulations to Brock Purdy, who is maybe having possibly the best year that you could ever have. I mean, he just signed a gigantic new contract. He just had a baby girl. But he's been married a little bit. He just bought a gigantic ranch or whatever in Nashville. Life is good for one Brock Purdy. So congratulations to Brock and his new baby girl. He's having a time. Nice job, Brock Purdy. So there you go. That's why he missed a day. Pads be popping today. I already told you about that. So again, I will be down at camp today if you're just joining in. I'll jump out of here in about 30 minutes. 35 minutes and get down there in plenty of time to get ready and get everything all juiced up. And then I'll take some video for you. A couple of places to look for that. X is a great place at John Lund Radio. I quickly just post things on there so that, from the field. And so you get some quick things on that. Who's practicing, who's not, all those kind of things. I do have injury updates, and you'll hear from Kyle here in just a couple of minutes. So stay for that. And then I'll be down there. I'll take some shots, and that's fun stuff, man, watching the big boys. And look, this is a young defensive line, so let's get at it. Let's see what they can do. And, people may complain, Colt McKivitz, this, that, and the other. He's a vet going up against these guys. Obviously, Trent Williams. You got a couple of vets in there. Dominic Pooney against some of these interior defensive line, like Pooney v. Collins. That's going to be pretty cool to watch. Or West, some of these younger guys, Dominic Pooney. So, look, I'm looking forward to all that. I'm excited. And George, when I was down there first or second day of camp, I guess it was second day of camp, maybe first day, I don't remember. But George Kittle was on the podium, and he was in his regular good mood. And somebody asked him about being back at camp, and he kind of paused for a minute. And he just said, look, it's not, all due respect to football, but it's not real football until we can put on the pads. And he said, so I'm as physical as I can be with no pads. But, you have that period, the first 4 practices where you can't be in pads. And he's like, now, when I get in pads, then I'm in my element. So that's where we are today. And it should be a lot of fun down there in Santa Clara. So I'll do the best I can to give you the feel of the first day in pads. All right, let's get to the injuries, both good and bad. First, the good. Ricky Pearsall is back. You know how I know? That's right. That's Ricky Pearsall. He's not wearing the 14. He's wearing the Uno. So there's Ricky Pearsall wearing number 1. And there is proof, if you needed it for your friends, that Ricky Pearsall is back. I told you when I was down there on, I guess it was Thursday. I skipped Friday. I was down there on Thursday, and Ricky zipped right by me as I was walking to the other field. And full sprint, full cut, jumps, twists, makes this catch. And I went, oh, yeah, he's going to be back on Sunday unless there's something crazy. And he was running full speed. He looked good. Kyle Shanahan, in fact, I think I have a Kyle Shanahan right here. Yeah, as a matter of fact, here it is. So he participated. If you don't know how camp works, we come out after they stretch. Then they break off into groups by position, and they do all these different kind of drills and things, and that's when we're able to video. And then once they break into, or once they go into 11 on 11, which is now they're starting to practice plays, and there's like no more filming, no more, camera phones, no more professional filming, none of that kind of stuff. Other than, 49ers Productions or whatever. That's why, like, if they send something out, that's from 49ers Productions, anything you see like that. So the general media can't film any of that stuff, and that's how things are broken into. So Ricky Pearsall did all the drills, and then he had 8 reps during 11 on 11. So here's Kyle Shanahan talking about Ricky Pearsall's return on Sunday.
His rep count was real low. I think he got like 8 reps today, but see how he did with recovery and stuff. But I didn't hear any complaints, and good first day back.
All right, so short and simple. That's exactly what you would expect. The real test will be today. Is Ricky Pearsall going to be in pads? Is Ricky Pearsall going to be a full go because he's only had 1 practice under his belt? So will they put some sort of a jersey on him so that he's got non-contact? That'll determine whether Ricky is fully back. It wouldn't surprise me if they didn't, if they said, okay, 1 practice, okay, you're in pads, Ricky. I'm not sure that they're going to do that today, but I'll let you know a little bit later. So that is the good news as far as injuries are concerned. I think this is also good news. Hamstring by Cowing, we are all kind of holding our breath. Hamstring Renardo Green, who was good last year, the rookie second-round pick last year out of Florida State, now second year, I should say, out of Florida State. Opposite Demo Lenore, and then possibly you're going to have a rookie in the slot who has looked really good so far. And again, that's another guy that I want to see with pads on, Upton Stout, 5'8", about 185, real feisty, but let's see what he can do. He's running around in shorts. Everybody's giving him a lot of credit. They like him, but let's see what he does in pads today. That's another guy I'm going to be watching. Number 20, Upton Stout, their 3rd-round pick. Can he secure that slot position? But back to Renardo Green, he can't really take time off. Like, he's a guy that really needs to take that step. And I tell you all the time about the players for the 49ers who need to take that next step in the progression. Rookies are kind of a dartboard throw. Sometimes they're ready. Sometimes they need a little time. Second-year guys, they come into camp. You can just tell they're more confident. Like the way that Ricky Pearsall is just even walking around. You can just tell, I've been here, done that. Okay, I'm ready. And that's kind of how it works. So Renardo Green's going to miss some time. 𝐬𝐮𝐞𝐭's going to miss some time, but I think this is good news. Here's Kyle with an update on both.
Both have hamstrings. Hopefully around Raiders week, we'll get them back.
All right, so that's not bad. So Raiders week means August 16th. That is the 2nd preseason game. So Denver first, Raiders second. They're going to have practices down there in Henderson as well that week. And then 3rd week is going to be Denver, and then week off, then the regular season. So they'll have about 3 weeks between the Raiders game, which is August 16th, and the road opener at Seattle. So 3 weeks. So that would seem to be enough time. And let's start with Cowing. Right now, and I think they are going to be on the lookout for a receiver, but right now, because Demarcus Robinson's probably going to miss a couple of games with that DUI arrest, Brandon Ayuk's jumping around the field and everything, but he's not going to be ready. I think at least he's going to be on the PUP list when the final cuts are made, which means at that point, he's going to have to miss the first 4 games. Ricky Pearsall, unless something happens, it's going to be Pearsall, and I'll give you an update on jauan Jennings in a minute, but let's assume, ask you me, you can't assume, but let's assume for just a second that Jennings is there. So Jennings, Pearsall, and then what? There's some young guys that people are talking about, there's no doubt, but if Cowing can continue what he did in OTAs, Kyle was very complimentary of that. If he can come back by that week, maybe practice that week where they practice against the Raiders, play in that preseason game, and then have a few weeks until the opener, Cowing will have plenty of time to be ready for that opener. He could be in the slot, and those could be your 3 starters. I'm not overly excited about that, but that gets you through the first couple of weeks, and then a veteran like Demarcus Robinson, who's looked really good in camp, could be back at that point, and then you're at least okay. And then as far as the defensive backfield, they brought in a guy, and I'll go down here for a second. They brought in Eli Apple. He was in 4 games last year for the Chargers. It's been a while since he's kind of been a journeyman corner, so it's not overly exciting. I think he's probably a camp body. Some people will probably say he's more than that. It'll just depend on how quickly Renardo Green comes back. Remember, they're not going to rush these guys back, even though Kyle just said it's going to be probably Raiders week or Raiders game. You're not going to rush anybody back during training camp from a hamstring injury or any kind of muscle injury, because if it lingers during the season, that's the worst thing that can happen. So what they're going to do is they're going to take these things slow, but he's saying Raiders week because that's what they're telling him. So they practice against the Raiders in Henderson that week. Then they play on August 16th against the Raiders. If that's the case, and that is what is going to happen, then Renardo Green and 𝐦𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐿 practice that week, play against the Raiders on the 16th in the second preseason game, and they'll have plenty of time to be ready for the opener. That's good. And then if Upton Stout, and today I think is a big day for him, if Upton Stout at his size can be effective in the slot, and I keep bringing up K'Waun Williams, but be that feisty guy in the slot, and today's going to show a lot with pads. I mean, he looked great running around in shorts. He was making plays. He was all over the place. Saleh complimented him. Kyle complimented him. There was a lot of buzz around him, but now let's put on the pads and see what we can do. So today's going to be a big day for him. But if they can get Renardo back, Upton Stout plays well. We know what Demo can do on the other corner, so then things will be fine. Now, this is where the concern comes in. Kyle Shanahan was pretty short. And again, it's about reading these guys. Sometimes it's what they say. Sometimes it's how they say it. Sometimes it's a combination of everything. But here's Kyle Shanahan on an injury to jauan Jennings yesterday.
I don't know.
Let me go back.
Yeah, he had a calf. I don't know. I'll hear about it later today with anybody who goes out of practice, but that's why I know he went out. That's what he had in OTAs, so I'm sure it's similar.
All right, so here's the concern on that. And I'm not trying to make anybody panic, but when you hear calf injury, that can be Achilles injury. When Kevin Durant got hurt with the Warriors, it was calf, Achilles. When Christian McCaffrey got hurt, it was calf, Achilles. And so that's your number one concern. So if you're red line, that's exactly what you go to. You go calf, that means Achilles. Now, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But that's the concern because it keeps flaring up because he said, well, he had it in OTAs. And now he has it again. And now you're like, damn. So if you're the 49ers, and again, the reason I say you read body language and the way someone says something, Kyle wanted to be very short with what's going on with jauan Jennings because, number one, it occurred yesterday and they're not really sure what's going on. And if it's something that flared up from OTAs, they're going, damn, this again? And so I would be surprised if jauan was out there today. Now, if he is, that's great and wonderful. If he's not, then what it means is, again, it's early in the season. It's training camp. They're not going to mess with things. If something's going on with a guy, they're going to be extra careful with it, especially a guy at the position where the 49ers are probably at their most thin wide receiver. If jauan Jennings doesn't start the season and, 𝐾𝐭 is coming back from a hamstring right now and Pearsall and Demarcus Robinson's going to be out the first couple of games because of DUI, my God, you probably have the worst wide receiver core in the league. So there's a lot of iffiness, of course, as we already know with the wide receivers. And now jauan Jennings has a reoccurring calf injury. So I'm not sure that we'll see him out there today. I'll let you know as quickly as I can. And again, I'll shoot that out at John Lund Radio on X. So make sure that you're following me there. But that is not great news. And it's not only not great news, but it's the way he says it. And it says it's quickly how he wants to get away from it. And that's just, you kind of read into that. And again, you don't have to have done this for as long as I have to just understand. Just let me do it one more time.
Had a calf. I don't know. I'll hear about it later today with anybody who goes out of practice, but that's why I know he went out.
So we may hear a little bit more today, but he's just like, look, I'm not telling you anything. And maybe it's he doesn't know. Maybe he just doesn't want, whatever the case may be. But anything where there's something that's reoccurring, and then again, they go to worst case scenario too. So you think calf, you think Achilles sometimes. So it's like, okay, let's get a handle on exactly what this thing is before we move on. But they are really thin. You don't need me to tell you that. They're really thin at receiver. So that's not great news. So we'll keep an eye on what's going on as far as that goes. And then one final thing, and you may think this is not a big thing, but I think it is. People got on me about this, and I just said, look, there's a and I told you this right when the guys left the final OTAs. Teams hate that 40 days because they just don't know what's going to happen in that time. Guys can get hurt. Guys can get tangled up in the law. They can just, the season officially starts really after that final OTA. It's like, okay, it's the 2025 season. So if you get yourself in trouble with the law, if you get yourself in trouble, or if you get yourself injured or something like that, then the season has started, and now it's like, okay, now it's the 2025 season, and that's going to affect the season. Something happens early in the offseason, something happens late last season. It's not great, but at least you have time to recover from that. You make adjustments on your roster, whatever the case may be. When it happens in that 40-day window after the last OTAs, but before training camp starts, you're kind of screwed. Now, this doesn't seem like it's going to be a big deal. And a lot of people were hitting me up on social media going, hey, it was probably an overzealous cop, this and that. I don't know what it was. It seems like wrong place, wrong time, and it doesn't seem like a big deal. But remember, very young defense and extremely young secondary, and you want to be the leader of it. So you can't go out in that 40-day period and get arrested. It's just not the right thing to do, regardless of what it was and regardless of what the cops did or anything like that. I don't know what the situation was. But at the very worst, seems like he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. And I think this is a very mature response to it. It was Demo's first time in front of the media on the podium yesterday, and this is how he addressed it.
Just, I'm different than who I was, 5 years ago. So just being at the right place, not really, hanging out in areas that I shouldn't be, so I want to apologize to my teammates, the organization, and to my coaches and to my family, for a mistake.
So there you go. I think that's very mature of him. I don't think anybody put him up to it. I just think that's what he felt. He's a leader on this team. And even though he's kind of an emotional guy and he can, talking all the trash and everything, he realizes that, look, this is a really young secondary and he is the leader of the secondary. And so he knows in that 40-day period, he can't be doing stupid stuff. And like I said, I don't know the details of it, but he realizes, like, I can't be doing that. That can't be me. So when you're a young player and you do dumb stuff, people go, it's just a young player. You're not a young player anymore. You've been around here 5 years. You've got the big contract. You're the leader of the secondary. Regardless of that, take responsibility for your actions and apologize when necessary. And that's exactly what he did. That's what leaders do. So nice job. You may think it's not a big deal. I just think it's a sign of maturity. And I think it's a good thing what Demo Lenore did. So there you go. That's what's going on with the Niners. And again, I'll reiterate, I'll be down there today for the first day in pads. Make sure you're following along. Make sure the alerts are on here on YouTube on John Lund Unleashed, and I'll make sure that I send out a bunch of good stuff, videos, press conferences, everything like that. And if guys are mixing it up as far as some one-on-ones during those periods, I'll make sure that I send it out to you. So make sure you have your alerts on John Lund Unleashed on YouTube. So there you go, episode 204. Brock's baby. He and Jenna had a baby this morning. A couple of days ago when he missed camp. That's what that was. Pads popping today. Injuries, good and bad news. So good news on Ricky Pearsall. Good news, I think, on the hamstrings on Renardo Green and on Jacob Cowling. Bad news on Jauan Jennings. We'll keep an eye on that. Eli Apple, I think, is a camp body, but depending on what happens in the secondary in camp, could be more than that. Debo on his arrest. So that's what's going on as far as the Niners. The Giants, I don't know what to tell you. They're 52-50, and we're getting to the point, and this is kind of a show philosophy. We're getting to the point where if you're at 500, you're not really considered, to me, to be in the chase. They're 52-50. They're getting there after being swept by the Mets. And although the mascots, that was kind of cool because Lucille was put in the Mascot Hall of Fame. So Mr. Met was here, and there is Mr. Met. Now, I don't know if that's for real or AI or whatever, but there's Mr. Met in McCovey Cove with a broom. Very nice. Very nice. So that's all there is to say about it. They got swept. A couple of things that stood out to me. We all just said, hey, Devers is going to be at first base. That solves that. It's not that easy. It's not that easy of a position to play. No place in Major League Baseball is. It's not like Little League. Hey, stick John Lund out in right field. It's not that easy. Every place is difficult to play. First base is not easy to play. He played third base. He had never played first base. It's going to take some time. But that's where the position is from a hitting standpoint, and they're going to have to take their lumps. And unfortunately, this staff, they get a lot of ground ball outs, and your defense has to be good around the infield, and it generally is. Damas can be hot and cold, but he's been better. We know all about Matt Chapman. If 𝐃𝐨𝐧'𝐭's playing second base, you're doing a pretty good job. Patrick Bailey for all the bat stuff, whatever. He's been average. But behind the plate, he's absolutely great. 𝐿 Lee's above average in center. Mike Yastrzemski's above average in right. So you got a pretty good defensive team. But if Devers is at first, it's not great. That's not great. So there's that. I think they just have to keep playing him there and just take the lumps. And then I love Heliot Ramos and his athletic ability and the type of things he can do. And he's a great guy, and I'm not down on him. But from taking horrible routes in the outfield where you scratch your head to what he did at third base last night, sometimes you just question his baseball IQ, and maybe it's not baseball IQ, and maybe I'm being unfair there. But maybe it's just concentration on the game. Whatever it is, they need to sit down and figure out what it is. Because he's good for a couple of boneheaded plays a week. And in the majors, that's not acceptable. It's just not. It's those kind of things that cost you games, little mistakes that he makes. And like I said, they're at least a couple a week, whether it's a route to a ball, whether it's a base running mistake, it just seems to, you're looking at him going, you're either not in the game or your baseball IQ is not. And I'm not saying he's dumb, because he's not. He's smart. But I'm just simply saying that he makes mistakes that make you scratch your head at least a couple of times a week. And he did it over the weekend. So there's a couple of different things. And the deadline 3 days away. So let me just show you the standings right now. And you've probably seen them, but let's just have a little fun here. So the standings right now, you're starting to fade because Cubs and Brewers are tied. Mets now lead the East after sweeping the Giants. The Dodgers are the Dodgers, whatever. So the Phillies are there. They're going to be there. Phillies and one of these teams are going to make it. So it's not really hard to start crystallizing this whole thing, even though we've got a fair amount of games left. We're almost to the end of July, so we got August and September to go. So we're coming down, not coming down the stretch. Give us another month and we'll be coming down the stretch. But the Cubs or the Brewers are going to win that division, one or the other. Mets or the Phillies are going to win the East. Dodgers are going to win the West. The wild card teams are going to be whoever doesn't win the Central. So either the Cubs or the Brewers are going to be a wild card, and either the Mets or the Phillies are going to be a wild card, whoever doesn't win the East. I wouldn't cement the Padres in their space. They're only one ahead of the Reds. And I wouldn't say that the Giants are out of it. The Cardinals are only one back, and I think the Cardinals probably are sellers. The Diamondbacks are 3 back in the loss column of the Giants, and they are clearly sellers. To me, if you're at 500 right now, then we don't even have to talk about you in the playoffs. And look at the last 10. 2-8 in the last 10. Lost 3 in a row. Their run differential, which Billy Bean loves, is down to +9, which is not great. I mean, it's the epitome of 500. They're horrible against left-handed pitching, so they've got some major issues on this team. And if you're Buster Posey, you've got to be teetering here because you're thinking to yourself, okay, there's only going to be one spot. So it's Padres, Reds, and us. I don't think the Cardinals are very good, and the Diamondbacks are selling, and then after that, I mean, my God, you're only 2 in the loss ahead of the Marlins, and then everybody else is out of it. I thought the Braves would make a run. They're not going to. So the Pirates come to town, and they stink, and you should be able to sweep those guys, and then the Mets come back, and that's not great, but I'm not overly optimistic, and Buster Posey has an interesting, I'm not going to call it a dilemma because who wouldn't want to run a baseball team, right? I mean, it's not a negative thing, but I look at Buster Posey's situation and I say, first of all, we've been talking about this for weeks. There's nobody in the farm system. And if they did have somebody in the farm system, they would move him. If they had somebody in the farm system, they would have brought him up. So Carson Whisenhunt, this is big tonight. Carson Whisenhunt comes up for the Giants. Now, it's only, quote unquote, the Pirates. But let's look at the probables for tonight and for this series, as a matter of fact. Because the only reason I bring it up is Mitch Keller's a nice pitcher, and he could be traded before tonight. A lot of teams like him. Don't look at the 4-10 record because the Pirates, whether it's Paul Skeens or Mitch Keller or anybody that's going out there, he's a solid mid-rotation starter, Mitch Keller. We'll see what Carson Whisenhunt is. And then Verlander, maybe he can get his second win. And then Logan Webb has had 3 terrible, is that too strong of a word? Bad, especially for him, starts in a row. So he's got to get back on track. Verlander's got to build on what he had last time out, and let's see what Whisenhunt is. But Keller's not easy. And if you look at these 3 starters for the Pirates, I'm not saying they're world beaters, but Keller's solid, and they're not horrible. They can't score any runs. So you got to sweep the Pirates. It's not 2 or 3. You're past that. You're at the point where you got to sweep the Pirates. And this past weekend is not overly encouraging. So I think Buster Posey finds himself kind of between a rock and a hard place. He got Devers, and that tells you that, oh man, we're all in. We're all in. We're all in. We're all in. We got to do this. We're not, no, there is no other way. And that's what he probably told the powers that be and the people who have the wallet and the mahogany table and all those kind of things. We are all in. Well, now you look at this thing and you're like, we're 54 and 52. And it's the 28th today, so we're 3 days away. If by that time, let's say that just the unthinkable happens, and I'm not a negative person, but let's just say they're at 500 or 1 under. The Pirates do the unthinkable, either win 2 of 3 or hell, sweep them. And you're Buster and you're at 500 or maybe 1 under or maybe 1 over or whatever. What are you going to give up? And there's not much to give up in the minor leagues, because if there was, they would have brought that person up, whether pitching, hitting, whatever, to try to help the big club out of this bit of a slump that they're in. The one player that's down there that's raking but doesn't have a position, and we know this, is Marco Luciano. Does Marco Luciano have any value? To quote Jeff Spicoli, I don't know. I'm going to put that on the board for all my students to enjoy. I don't know. I don't know if Marco Luciano has any value. I don't know if anybody would think, well, at one point he was a top prospect. He's raking down in AAA. Why not? Could he lead a package to get someone decent? I don't know that he could. Because if Roop isn't too bad and he comes back quickly at some point, and then you can maybe get he could possibly get you that average second baseman that I'm talking about, but is an average second baseman going to be better than what 𝐃𝐨𝐧'𝐭 can give you right now? I don't know. Again, I don't know, what you're not supposed to say in this business, but I really don't. I don't know what 𝐃𝐨𝐧'𝐭 is long-term. I don't know what people think of Marco Luciano now. He's not that star prospect he was, but they don't really have anything beyond that. They're not trading Bryce Eldridge. And tonight will be a big start for Carson 𝐬𝐮𝐬. What if Carson 𝐬𝐮𝐬 goes out tonight and crushes it? He's not going to go real deep into the game, but let's just say he can go 6. Let's say he can go, let's be realistic. Let's say he can go 5 really solid innings. Let's say he gives up, because the Pirates offense stinks. Let's say he goes 5 innings, gives up 1 run, 4 hits, strikes out 6. And you're like, what? I don't know. Maybe he's your 4th starter. Roop comes back. That's a 3. That's your 4. Verlander's the 5. Whatever. Or maybe you use that as, hey, that guy's pretty good. We could trade him now. Players are stocks, man, up and down, up and down. Team sees them. They're scouts right now looking at the Giants going, meh. Luciano, 𝐬𝐮𝐬, all right, that could get you something. So we'll see. So that's what's going on as far as the Giants are concerned. Deadline is 3 days away. And I don't know. This series, I don't know that this series decides it. Although I will say, if the Pirates take 2 of 3 or sweep, and I'm Buster and I'm being realistic, I might become a seller, because this is silly. But there is one spot open. And can I hang with the Padres, the Reds? Those teams are flawed. There's no doubt. Let's see. We'll go down the speed. Let me do this, and then we'll move on to some other things. Did you see this thing, the Speedway Series? So I've been to a NASCAR. I know that this isn't me at all, but I've been to a NASCAR thing because I was in Texas, and we were the official station of the Texas Motor Speedway. And so for that, I worked for ESPN, and they flew me out to Bristol Motor Speedway, and I toured Joe Gibbs Racing, and I was in one of those motor homes in the middle of the thing, the infield. Believe me, I've never been a NASCAR guy, but that was pretty cool. And so now they've put a baseball stadium in the middle there, and they're going to have 85,000 people at a Braves game. Again, not normally my jam, but that's pretty damn cool. You see so they got the ones right there, and then you see the people all on the outside, like they're going to be at basically the racetrack watching the game. 85,000. That looks pretty cool. Yeah, NASCAR, when you're at the event, is unbelievably cool. I can't watch it on TV, but like I said, I've been to a few races at Texas Motor Speedway, and I was at it was pretty cool. It was like Mecca. It was a nice night race. And I toured Joe Gibbs Racing with Tony Stewart. They're the nicest people ever. You'd think Tony Stewart was your best friend. It was incredible. I'm like, you're Tony Stewart, and you're taking us on a tour of Joe Gibbs Racing. He's like, yeah, what's the big deal? You're in there, looking at their cars, standing in there. Then they gave, during the day of the race, they gave me a hot pass. So you got a hot pass, cold pass, you give me a hot pass. I'm like standing in there and they're revving up the cars before they go on the track. Like they give you unbelievable access. It's crazy. Just crazy. But anyway, 85,000 people for that game. That's crazy. Look how cool that is that they stuck that stadium right in the middle of a NASCAR track. That is, I got to be honest, that's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. So anyway, there's that. And then there's your baseball update on anything. Anybody have any thoughts, questions, comments on any of that stuff? Because I jammed through a bunch of stuff this morning, and the only reason I am is because I got to get out of here in about 5. One quick thing on Luka. Is this real on the cover of Men's Health, or do you think this is doctored in any way? Because if that's real, damn, the league might be in trouble. I mean, the dude must have lost, what, 25, 30 pounds? If that's real. I mean, he almost looks skinny there, but he definitely looks rocked. So if Luka Doncic, because a lot of people, they give him crap all the time about his weight. He's like, whatever, I'm really, really good. But Luka Doncic muscles up. And so it's going all over social media today. So there you go. I don't know if that's real, but if that's true, I mean, he looks like Steph. I mean, like he's Steph right there. Steph looks like that all the time. Like Steph is, pretty cut and in great shape. And so it looks like maybe Luka found a trainer and went, all right, I'm sick of everybody calling me flabby and baby fat and all that kind of stuff. And if that's the case, I mean, Luka's already really good. Can you imagine if he's actually in shape? That won't be good for everybody else. So there's that. That's going around right now. That's quite viral. Random things. I'd like to have more random things for you today. I'm sorry, but I do got to get running down there so that I'm not late. So I apologize for that. Some people that I did not say good morning to. Christian is here. Tim, good morning to you. Did I say hi to Pine? Hi, Pine. Good to see you, man. Oh, is that right? You played in the middle of the Indy 500. How cool is that, man? It's very cool. Naomi, did I say good morning to you? I hope I did. JR is here this morning. Good to see everybody this morning. James, Bucko Sports is here. Very cool, man. Aaron, good morning to you, my friend. Jake, if I didn't say good morning to you, good morning, DC. Good to see you, my friend. All right, let's hit it because I got to get jumping, but we got to play the sweet, clean, family-friendly Caboose Pistol today. I got a good one for you. Oh, wait a minute. I turned that one down because it went double up. Okay,
Presents the Caboose Pistol.
Wedged in the crack of her buttocks.
Somehow, someway, Lundo thinks this is the best way to leave a final impression on you for the day.
The old Caboose pistol, everybody has one.
Did you say caboose?
I know some woman who could hide a machine gun in there.
Yeah.
Leave me out of this, you weirdo. Here's John.
All right, one quick picture and then a video for you. So this is pretty funny. I just saw this morning. Maybe you've seen it before. A woman left a review for an Outback Steakhouse. I'm absolutely livid. My husband drove all the way to pick up our Outback order, and you people forgot the bloomin' onion. That was the only thing I wanted. And then she later says, my fat husband ate the bloomin' onion in the car, and I lied. I'm sorry, and I don't know how to delete reviews. It is tough when you bring back food from a place and it smells so good. Like, that if you got fries in a bag or something, like McDonald's fries or something, you're like, I'm only going to eat one. And then you've eaten like 10. It's really hard. So anyway, a whole bloomin' onion in the car, though, those things are messy. How could you do that? I don't know how you could do that. Like just like shove the whole thing in your mouth. I mean, bloomin' onions are kind of, and you got to dip it in that dip that's really good. I mean, I haven't had a bloomin' onion in probably 10 years, but I know what they taste like. And I know they're just a friggin' mess. But anyway, I thought that was hilarious. And then second thing is, and this is even better. So this is a pizza place, and they ran out of oil for their dough, for their crust. And so they were just like, oil, we're out of oil. And they saw oil, and they went, oh, okay, let's put this oil in the crust. And this is what it was.
We covered this story last week. Public Health Madison and Dane County tracked a series of sicknesses to famous Yetis after more than 25 people went to the emergency room for experiencing paranoia, nausea, and short-term memory distortion. PHMDC found out Yeti's Pizza had accidentally used THC oil from a shared kitchen space to make their dough, which then caused the health concerns for customers.
The disorientation factor of experiencing some of those impacts and not knowing what caused it. I think that's where, there's a certain amount of concern.
PHMDC can't issue a citation because there are no regulation requirements for hemp plant-based products.
I mean, look, I don't know who's making pizzas back there. Could be the owner, could be a 16-year-old kid. I don't know what the case may be, but it's like, I don't know. So they're sharing a kitchen. Who are you sharing a kitchen with? Is it like a weed store next door, or what? I mean, what's going on? Or a bakery that uses oil, THC oil? Or I mean, I have no idea. Like, I'd want to at least ask some of those questions. But basically, they're sharing. It's a shared kitchen, they said. So they're doing these pizzas out of a shared kitchen. They're using, they use a certain kind of oil for their crust, and then a guy just looks around and goes, "Oh my God, we're out of oil. I guess I'll just throw this oil in." And it's THC oil. And if you know anything about it, it's like, the stuff is highly concentrated. So I would imagine the amount of oil that you normally use in a crust versus like the THC oil, I mean, these people had to be high as hell. And I don't know if you've ever eaten any kind of like a THC blueberry or a gummy or one of the things is, even if like people, have a high tolerance, like Snoop Dogg or something, people like that will even tell you, you don't know with those kind of products from one to the other, like how strong it's going to be. And some of them, it's like, you got to watch it, like eat half one and you're like, okay, I'll eat the other half. They can be incredibly strong and you just don't know. And so you put the oils in there or the brownies or whatever the case may be. So this person was like throwing the amount of oil that they would normally throw into a crust. I bet these people were stoned to the bejesus. I mean, they had to be like, they had to be stoned as hell. So anyway, there you go. Putting THC oil, just any old oil. I guess that must be our oil. No, that is THC oil. So anyway, there you go. That is your sweet, clean, family-friendly caboose pistol. Anything else I need to go? Hi, Richard. Good to see you, my friend. And again, I'll remind you, episode 204, as you can see at the beginning, Brock's baby, pads popping today, injuries, good and bad news, Demo arrested. We started at 8 this morning because I've got to run right now down to 49ers camp because traffic is going to be terrible as it always is on a Monday. So I'm off to 49ers camp. Keep your alerts on John Lund Unleashed on YouTube because I'll be doing a full recap of the first day in pads at Niners camp at 6 o'clock tonight, 6 p.m. Pacific time. Also, I'll be sending out snippets as we go along. I'll be doing that both here on the YouTube channel and on John Lund, at John Lund Radio on X. So make sure you're subscribed there. Before you get out of here today, please subscribe. If you're watching on one of the other platforms, please subscribe to John Lund Unleashed on YouTube. Hit me with a like as well on this episode, please, because that helps the algorithm and grow the community. And if you would, go hit that bell and get those alerts on so that you know when we're going live with stuff, especially from 49ers training camp. All right, I am off to camp. I'll give you all the stuff that you need to know from the first day in pads. Have a great rest of your Monday.
Thanks for hanging out with John Lund Unleashed. We'll try to be better next time, though I wouldn't hold my breath. Please like and subscribe on the John Lund Unleashed Pod YouTube channel. Watch live shows weekdays at 8 a.m. on YouTube, Instagram, and X. And make sure to have your alerts on for shows throughout the day or night. All things Lund can be found at johnlundunleashed.com. johnlundunleashed.com.
Goodbye!